Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at Meshroom, which is made by Alice Vision. This is a free photogrammetry software that we can use in the event that we don't have a fancy 3D scanner. We just have a phone camera or a digital camera, something like that, and we can use that to make 3D models. Okay, so I've downloaded Meshroom from alicevision.org, and I can see it here once I unzip it. I can open up the Meshroom exe. That's already going over on my end. And because this takes a little while, what I'm showing you here is a project that's already done. So you'll just kind of have to use your imagination. But step one was to load in a bunch of images on the left-hand side. So here I've taken an object and I've placed it on a surface that has a very distinct graphical background. I use this magazine cover sometimes. Helps people use newspapers sometimes. And then I did this with about 25 or 30 images, and the entire process, at least on my hardware, which is pretty decent, took, about 20 minutes to complete. So just keep in mind that this process does take a while, and you don't necessarily get great updates while it's working. So you load the images in. Sometimes I find if there's a problem, it's going to be on the final image. So sometimes you'll see these images show up as red, having certain problems, so you can just delete them individually. And then once I go ahead and hit start, that's when I have to wait for about 20 minutes. You're not going to see anything over here to begin with. So it sits here and calculates, and it's just reconstructing the angles of each of the individual cameras. You'll see this little bar kind of creep across to the right, and it's not done until this entire bar up here is green. You'll also notice, if you look carefully down here, that this sort of node-based approach is happening one step at a time in this linear fashion. So each of these will turn green as you go. And then initially, you're going to see something that sometimes is a little bit hard to make out, right? So I can kind of tell that my bear is in there, but it's this the sequence of dots. And right now what we're looking at is the structure from motion. So if I zoom in carefully, and if I remember this correctly, I think we go to the third to last node. And then if I double-click on that, sometimes it'll populate right here that we can also look at the actual geometry. There we go, the mesh. So now I can hide structure from motion, and I can just see the mesh, and I can see that that actually did a pretty good job capturing everything. Okay, so I'll go ahead and rehide that. Now, if I save this file, it's going to save as a .mg, and the folder that you save it in is going to be important. So let me minimize Meshroom. And you can see here, this is the folder where Meshroom, the program, is located. This is the folder where bear.mg is, and it will auto-generate this folder called Meshroom Cache. So I'll open that up. Then I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom with texturing. And then if you've done this more than once, you'll have a number of folders that just have nonsense character names. So you'll have to find it maybe based on time. And then when I come through, I can see three important types of files, which is the geometry, the OBJ. That's attached to a material, and so the material decides how these texture maps, 1001 and 2, are going to wrap around the object. So we need all four of these files for this to be a fully resolved model with a texture. Sometimes you'll only see one of these get generated. I'm not sure why it generated two. In any case, you can take these and you can go online. So for example, we can use this website called 3D Viewer Online. 3dviewer.net, and that's a place where we could upload our items. So we would put all four of them in here at the same time. But I got to see, geometry preview in Meshroom, so I think it's fine. Now you would just take these four and you would copy them over into some other location, and then we can import them into Blender or other programs that we'll use to manipulate 3D models. That's it.